Alright, so today we're going to be showing you all how to make coconut oil. This is the cooked version. So of course to make coconut oil you need coconut, right? So you have to use dried coconut, and how you do this is the coconut comes in its dry shell, you crack it into individual pieces like this, and then using your paring knife or any small knife, you de-shell it or remove the coconut core from the shell. So as you can see, I'm just using my paring knife and I'm using my thumb here as a kind of stopgap to stop the knife from going further. This will prevent you from accidentally stabbing your other hand. So you just take the tip of your knife and you just wiggle it and just go around the coconut until it's free from the shell. Right, and then you want to cut it up into smaller pieces before you transfer it to your grinder, or in my case, I'm going to be using a blender. Yeah, so we're just going to cut this up and come back with the blender and show you the next step. Right, so as I said, the next step is to blend or further break down the dried coconut. So I'm just going to add in some of the dried coconut into our blender. Yeah, and I'm just gonna cover it with warm water. The warm water will help to open up the pores of the coconut to help it release its oils a lot easier. Right, and we want to blend this to basically a puree. You want to break it down as much as possible. Right, so here it's been broken down. So now we're just gonna strain, because you want to strain off most of that coconut fiber. So I'm just straining it through a double strainer. And you could take the back of your spoon or spatula and just squeeze out this coconut, or you could do like me and just use your hands and squeeze it. Really want to get as much as that of that coconut milk out as possible. Right, so once we finish blend and strain all our coconut, we're just going to come back and walk you through the next step. All right, so we've strained off our coconut milk mixture. I've transferred it into this clear jug so we could actually see the separation starting to take place. So what I'm going to do now we're going to introduce time into the equation, because we have to allow this to sit, I would say, for a minimum of 2 hours, ideally 12 to 24 hours, but you would see separation from 2 hours. So what's going to happen is that the water will settle to the bottom and the cream will rise to the top, and at that point we will then have to ladle out the cream and go to the stove to cook our coconut oil. Yeah, so we're going to let this sit and come back in a bit. All right, so it's been about 6 hours now that our coconut has been sitting and allowing the separation to take place. So as you could clearly see through the clear jug, the cream has risen to the top and the excess water has settled to the bottom. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ladle the cream into my pot to start to cook off the oil. Now it's okay if you get a little water, because that will cook off in your pot. It'll just add a little time, but it's no big deal if you ladle in a little water. Right, so we're gonna let this cook over medium to high heat to start. You wanna stir this, not constantly, but every 2 minutes or so. It's not something you wanna leave on the fire and forget, as it will burn. Yeah, so we're just gonna get rid of our coconut water here, clean up and come back to the pot. Right, so our coconut mixture has been cooking for about 2 to 3 minutes now. Could already see it starting to get darker in color. I've dropped the heat down to, not all the way down to low, but just under low. To give you an idea, this induction goes from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Right now it's set at 2. Yeah, and you could already start to see the separation take place in the coconut, where the oil is separating from the coconut solids. Yeah, so we're just going to continue to monitor. As I said, this is something you can't really walk away from. You have to stir occasionally. Yeah, so we'll check back in about 5-10 minutes. All right, so we're about 10 to 12 minutes in. So as you could see, the oil continuing to sort of separate and the coconut solids starting to get darker in color. That's because the oil is slowly cooking off the coconut solids. So this will continue to happen. What you'll see throughout is the coconut solids going from white to golden dark brown in color, and the oil continuing to separate with the excess water evaporating. So we're just going to continue to stir occasionally to prevent burning and uneven cooking, and we're doing this on a low to medium heat. Yeah, so we'll check back in about 10 minutes. All right, so we're about 20-25 minutes in. So as you can see, separation continuing to take place. A lot more evident now. The coconut solids are continuing to get darker in color. As I said, it's not something you can really walk away from, unfortunately. You have to just stand and keep stirring and scraping your bottom to ensure for even cooking and you don't get any burnt coconut solids, because that will negatively affect the overall taste and aroma of your coconut oil. So we'll check back in about 10 minutes again. Right, so as you can see, the coconut solids is continuing to get dark brown in color. So this is one of your cues to tell you that you're almost finished. What you're looking for is, or at least one of the things you're looking for is all your coconut solids to turn a golden brown in color. It's almost like if it's frying in the oil, and all these bubbles is the excess moisture being evaporated from your coconut oil mixture. So you probably have about 5-10 minutes again, and then we could strain and leave to cool. Right, so you could see here coconut really starting to turn brown. The reason you're seeing so much bubbles is the moisture escaping. Remember, the coconut solids are literally frying in the coconut oil at this point, and frying is a dry method of cooking, which is why whenever you fry something you see so much bubbles as evaporation taking place. All the moisture is escaping from the coconut solids in this case. So don't get too worried if you see all these bubbles. This is actually a good sign. When the bubbles start to dissipate, that is also another indication that your coconut oil is finished. Yeah, so we're almost there. Just going to continue to allow it to cook, remembering to stir throughout. All right, so our coconut oil is finished here. Now it's time to strain. Now I am using a metal strainer, which is why I'm able to strain it while it's hot. If you don't have a metal strainer, you'll have to wait until this cools down to room temperature before straining. Okay, so let's strain. And you can just take your spatula or your spoon and just squeeze down to get out all that excess oil in the coconut solids. Now what you want to do here now is you want to let this coconut oil cool down to room temperature and run it through a cheesecloth just to further refine it. That's optional. If you like some minuscule coconut solids in your coconut oil, then you could leave it as is and you could store this in your refrigerator. Just please understand that it will harden Or you could put it in a bottle and store it on your counter or anything like that, yeah? And of course, you know, we cook a lot of our foods in the Caribbean with coconut oil. So you see how easy it is. Also, what you would notice too is the amount. So if you remember the large jug we had, and we've probably boiled down to, I would estimate about 8 to 10 ounces of coconut oil. So you understand why coconut oil is the price it is, yeah? But it's something you can make at home. Relatively easy, just a little time.